is we're gonna be installing the MST V2 intake. Once again, we will be selling this intake, we will be selling these fixes at RaleigSportDirect.com. I would appreciate your support if you can go check out our site. We have plenty of other parts available for the GR Corolla. But yeah, let's get to work. I'm gonna unpack this, this box, show you guys exactly what to expect if you're gonna be picking up a V2 MST intake for your GR Corolla, and what this fix looks like as well. Let's check it out. Obviously, you start with taking the factory intake system out, as well as the radiator tray. The radiator tray is mostly gonna be push pots. Next up, we are gonna remove this factory solenoid sensor, which opens and closes the bottom flap for the air intake. If you guys didn't know, there is a flap below here that opens up under throttle in order to let more air in. All right, next up, we are going to unplug the MAP sensor up here. That was easy. And then I'll show you a little trick to unhook this as well as this guy when we take the airbox off. All right, so let's go ahead and take the factory airbox out. So we're gonna take a 10 mil, loosen up this clamp back here. We're gonna undo this. Get that out of the way. Fresh intake suction there. So I'm gonna take a pick and undo the clip for this. Now this is pretty fun and easy to pull out. There's just 3 little rubber feet underneath here. So if you just kind of rock it back and forth, it'll usually pop up. There we go. And then this little vacuum hose you see running back here, that's gonna tee just on top of the intake pipe. So we're going to pull this hose off of there and take the whole thing with us. There we go. All right, so much room for activities now.
So many activities!
Okay, so this is the tee that we just removed, that vacuum hose. They did include a small rubber cap, so all we're gonna do is cap that off. And then the next thing we're gonna do is remove this intake hose by loosening the 10 mil worm clamp there. And it does come with a tube for this top section. So we are going to remove that. Now you will see, obviously it's kind of deep in there, it's hard to get to. We have this little cover, we have our cowl here, but we got a bolt right there that's gotta come out. That one is a pain in the butt to get to, I'm gonna be real honest with you. I gained a little more access by loosening this up. So there's just like 4 push pots, 2 on each side. You can get a decent bit of space back there for your hand. So the one thing I am gonna do is remove the engine cover. There's 4 spots, oh, there we go. Last one. There we go. And that'll give us a little extra room. Quick correction, the bolts on the back are a 12 mil socket. Well, this is super fun. I'm having a great time. Boom, got one. All right, number 2. Oh, there we go. Just rotated it a little bit. Cool. Factory intake tube removed. This is like a resonator on top. We have the factory intake removed. Next up, we're gonna install this replacement inlet tube. Slightly larger diameter. The factory one fits in there, even with the bead roll. Should give us a little more airflow and less resistance. And also just a reminder, they do include a new zinc coated bolt for that lower part of the intake inlet. The factory ones are very long because the plastic is much longer, so don't use these. I'm not sure if it contacts or bottoms out, but all right, so silicone hose we're gonna use for this is the reducer. We have the reducer that goes from large to smaller. This is the factory diameter, and this is the new one. And then we also have this one, which has a slight elbow to it for the intake tube to filter or MAP hose, one of those, yeah, MAP hose, there you go. So I'm a little concerned that it's gonna be tough for me to, once I have this on the turbo inlet pipe and I'm finagling this back there, it might be kind of hard for me to get it seated on there with the limited space we have. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna seat it on there already. I'm not gonna tighten it. I will put a clamp around it just so that I don't have to like thread one on later. Put the larger one on here, and then I'll put the factory one on here. And then we'll slide this in. I'm gonna use a little bit of glass cleaner on this silicone thing here. This will dry up by the time we're doing any sort of starting and driving. but I'm just hoping that it helps me get this onto that factory turbo inlet piece. All right, the next thing it wants us to do, now that we have that pipe installed, is gonna be to install the Airbox. Now the reason for this is because the intake filter and the MAF pipe here install kind of between the Airbox. So we'll get the Airbox in, we'll put this through, put the filter on, tighten that, and then secure this to the pipe that we just installed. So the next part is installing the little feet that go to the rubber grommets on the car side. Now these do have 2 flat sides to them to fit an 8mm wrench and tighten these down all the way. So what we're gonna do is just guide the little feet on the box into these 3 rubber grommets and then firmly push down. You're gonna kind of wanna like roll it a little bit to make sure that it's even between all 3. All right. Okay, from there, we're gonna remove these 2 10mm bolts, and that's going to accommodate the intake snorkel radiator tray thing. Okay, so I did just put the tray in now. I kind of had to force it because of the very thick kind of gasket on the back of the box, which I actually like. It's sealed up really good is what I'm trying to say. What I recommend at this point, it says to do the screws first. Don't do the screws first. I would definitely do the push pots in the front. What's gonna happen is if you tighten the screws all the way, there's not gonna be enough room for these to line up correctly. So I'm gonna start with that, and then we'll go on to the screws. All right, we have the tray in here, as you can see. I'm gonna go ahead and fully tighten these down now that we got the push pots on there. They do have little rubber covers for these as well, which is a nice little detail. Next up, we got our MAF pipe here, and then this is going to attach to the air filter inside the Airbox. After we have that on, we're gonna go ahead and unscrew our MAF sensor from the factory Airbox. Now you do wanna be careful with that. It's a sensitive sensor, so we don't wanna drop it or touch it or whatever. We're just gonna be very careful, and it does need to be in the correct orientation. We'll get that on, we'll get this connector on as well. I think from there, we should be pretty close to starting this bad boy up. All right, so we have our intake pipe with the MAF installed, plugged in, everything's tightened up. Don't over tighten those MAF screws, just be careful with those. But yeah, I gave the intake pipe and the filter a little bit of a twist, a little jiggle, just to make sure everything is tight, and it looks great to me. So the last thing is deciding if we want to put the window on or not. I might leave it off for now, just to hear some turbo sounds. So yeah, at this point, we'll put the engine cover back on, we'll close this thing up, and we'll get a code. So let's go take a drive and try to brake my car. Yeah, okay. That's that noise I've been missing. A lot of people think they want a blow-off valve, which I understand, but if I had to choose a blow-off valve or an intake, I would 1000% choose an intake every day of the week. Here we are. We made it. All right, we got a current, a pending, and a permanent. Same thing, P2C90. So yeah, let's cruise home and put this fix on and see if it actually fixes stuff. So I do have the instructions in order to install the new harness. Now, this is what it looks like. It's this little box here. And what it does is it connects to the power, like I said before, the positive battery terminal. We're gonna ground it. And then the other part is gonna hook up to 2 of the pressure sensors on the valve cover area. So we're gonna go ahead, remove the engine cover. Pretty easy process, we showed that before. We're gonna locate a couple different vacuum ports. We are going to connect a new series of vacuum hoses on there. And then we're gonna go ahead and plug in the sensors, plug in the power. And like I said before, if you don't have an MST intake, you have a different brand, this will still work should still work for you. I'll say that much until we test it. But yeah, let's get this going. Go. All right, and the first thing I want us to do is find the PCV vacuum hose. It's gonna be on this sensor right here. There we go. Okay. All right, and then the other side of this hose, down on the intake manifold, we're gonna take this hose totally off here. The valve cover side, we're just gonna put this little cap on. Okay, next part is we're gonna find the PCV hose that goes to the turbo inlet back here. Same thing, these really don't wanna come off. So one side of the T-piece is gonna replace the first hose that we took off, or we capped the other side. The other end of the T is going to plug into the turbo inlet. And then the middle one is gonna go to the sensor right here. The other thing I'll mention is the factory PCV hose that goes from this solenoid up to the T-piece, comes down to the vacuum pump down here, and then we capped the other part of the T-piece for the intake. I just got rid of the T-piece and just routed the vacuum line from this over there. To me, like, there's no point in having a capped T-piece with two hoses when you can just have one hose. So yeah, that's what I did there. If you want to do that, go for it. If you don't do it. All right, so we have the vacuum T-piece hooked up. I did anchor that down with a single zip tie. The next thing is going to be, I'm kind of assuming, but we'll find out here. Those two same sensors that we plugged the new T-piece into, I believe we're gonna intercept those in order to fix the signal. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, so the first thing it wants us to do is disconnect sensor here. Disconnected that. All right, we got one side plugged. We got the other side plugged in. So I undid the 10 mil here, and then there's a little clip in the back. This wiring harness, this like hard shell thing, is gonna be able to be lifted up. And yeah, I think we're gonna go underneath that. Let me put this 10 mil back in there. Okay, that's good. So we're gonna mount the box probably over this area. I think what I'm gonna do is just follow a lot of the factory stuff this way. We can go around the ECU. I'm gonna tuck it underneath there. All right, this thing comes off pretty easy. All I did was like pull, you see like there's a tab right there, and same on the other side. So if you just kind of like spread it apart and lift up, it pops right off of that. So now we have access to the positive terminal there. They do include like a vampire clip or a tap clip. I'm gonna remove that. I'm gonna be a little janky and probably just take the coating off this and, you know, loop it around the nut there. We'll be fine. If you are also gonna be janky like your boy, we're just gonna do one of these around the bolt for now, for science. All right, that's back on and tight. So let's go ahead and put this back on. Clean. We're ready for this. Yeah, it's not waterproof, it's not potted, so just be aware of that. I'm gonna go ahead and assume that this is an okay enough spot for now. Go ahead and put this right there. Now, sometimes these codes, they can take a little bit in order to clear. They need a certain amount of mileage or certain driving conditions to verify the issue is no longer present. So I might not have a resolution for this right now, but stay tuned. Over the next couple days, I'm gonna just drive the car around and see if it clears. At that point, I will check the OBD2 scanner and see if there are any codes present at all, and hopefully call this resolved, but we'll find out.